Ladies and gentlemen, degenerates and weebs, although I don't know why you're here, welcome back to the Deplorable Batcave podcast. Hey, we've been away for a while. But before we start and I introduce our ever-lovely panelists, I want to say press F, gentlemen, for the passing of the late, great Stan Lee. Because, yeah, that was just... We lost a great one.
The chat's filling with Fs.
It's fitting. But, so yeah, from my left to my right on my screen, I shall introduce our panelists. Blippity blop.
Have you heard of the High Elves?
See you all.
Howdy, folks.
Kaleb.
All my jokes are cries for help, dude.
Jay Edgar.
How we doing, everybody?
AK-47 your face.
Good evening.
ShortFatOtaku.
Hello.
Stefan.
Moin.
And Wandering.
Stop right there. You're trespassing at the border.
And on that note, I'm sure somebody's voice in this group just called somebody fail not November, so we're just going to move right into it. So tonight's top general discussion, gentlemen, is gaming. So, we're going to start off with the funny yet tragic. Red Dead Redemption 2, the suffragette that gets the shit beaten out of her. And the YouTuber that's subsequently got his channel removed.
She also gets the crocodile treatment and the, what's the name of the trope? The twirly mustache throw the woman on the train tracks?
Yeah, I tend to call it the Snidely Whiplash.
The Snidely Whiplash.
The old, that was the old achievement in the predecessor.
Yeah, I didn't think it was in this current one.
No, it's not.
No,
but it was. But there you had to find a whore, chain her up, and watch her die on the train track.
Are you used to that, Stefan?
Oh no.
Pussy.
Didn't he also feed her to a
Pits.
crocodile?
Yeah,
Yep.
to the pits, to the crocodiles.
Yep.
He also threw her down a chasm and then killed somebody, the devil.
I mean, he did everything.
Now,
Just
I'm
that
sure
one
this has
video
been
got
discussed
him
to death at this point, but
Let's do it.
in case anyone hasn't noticed the glaringly obvious, why is it that the feminists didn't have any problem with all the male NPCs being killed?
It's like, we could kill male Ku Klux Klan members, we could kill that person that was a Nazi in the making.
Because
Yeah.
it's not equality, that's why.
Yeah, there was this eugenics guy with racial purity in Saint Denis.
Fun fact about the suffragettes. A lot of them were eugenicists.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I didn't really see many feminists saying that they had a problem with killing the women NPCs in the game. It was just the one feminist NPC in the game.
Yeah, that's a good point, SFA, because it was. I was reading an article by one, which was quite vomit-inducing. But the point is that it gave the impression that this was blasphemous or sacrilegious. That this figure had been treated this way. You're not allowed to do this to suffragette. How dare you?
But you can do it to
I
men,
know.
apparently.
Blip, weren't the suffragettes in Britain straight-up terrorists?
Yeah, but they got better treatment in prison, at least. They had.
Well, no, they, like, chucked bombs at police and shit like that.
I don't remember.
I recall reading about.
Anything along those lines. I know that one of them did disturb and interrupt a horse racing event and killed herself that way.
I recall reading about a group of feminists in the UK in the 1970s who wanted to plant a bomb in a shopping mall.
Oh,
wait.
that's much later. He's talking about the suffragettes, no?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, sorry, the suffragettes, they were the ones who just threw bricks at people.
Oh, okay. Let me clarify this correctly, Cyril. Are you referring to suffragettes as being terrorists or later feminist groups?
The suffragettes, that specifically in Britain, were known
Oh,
for
okay.
throwing
I'm not
bricks.
aware I'm not aware, so I
When,
can't really
when was suffrage in Britain? I actually don't know that.
Early 20th century.
Okay.
It's like you can do
Yeah,
all
at
of
the
it.
time,
Occasions where we're slightly ahead of you guys.
at that time, only men could vote, or one vote per family.
Actually, before all of that, there were women voters. It had to do with owning property.
Mhm. Just as a side note, what strikes me is just the sheer lack of being able to learn from experience. Is that by attempting to demonize this game, it is no doubt led to
Stressing an effect.
enormous sales.
Well-
It's like, I wasn't too keen on well, I'm not keen on shooters, but after the reaction to Doom Eternal, I had to go get myself a copy of the original, and I will damn well be pre-ordering Doom Eternal.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, the suffragette in Red Dead Redemption, she is pretty annoying as well. That was already pointed out.
Well, at least they got some things accurate.
Yeah, so she is rather, well, not that in rather important position, so you have to look her up or buy some clothes, which you usually do not do. But the interesting thing is how they presented the KKK.
Go
Which
on.
was a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of total idiots who kill themselves permanently. So like, they try to make a cross and set it on fire. The cross falls over, buries two guys under them, and well, they burn to death, and a couple of others catch fire as well. So well, yeah, that's the KKK.
It's one of those "I'm a genius, oh no" moments in the
And the really interesting thing was the Nazi guy in Saint Denis, right next to the paper guy, who promotes racial purity.
He's like, did you just call me a fool? Then you just chase them down and beat them up. That's what you do.
Yeah, but that's allowed.
Yeah.
If we could, if we could go back to the whole Streisand effect thing, I think people actually use the Streisand, or sorry, overuse the Streisand effect because it does have some limitations. For example, something that's already quite popular, like Red Dead, it's not going to benefit much from a Streisand effect.
I disagree with that.
I think things that are unpopular can become popular through it, but things that are already popular, there's like an upper limit to how much it can actually help publicity. And also the problem with Red Dead right now is that it has a lot of negative publicity because the developers were the developers were stating that they were pridefully stating that they were putting in like 80-hour weeks and 100-hour weeks on this game. Meanwhile, it's a buggy mess. So even with the Streisand effect of this suffragette happening with the YouTuber Shirako, I think what's overshadowing it is the fact that the game is not very good and people really expected it to be good.
Which is fair to do.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that because I haven't played it.
Well,
But
one thing I found
terms
very-
of- say what?
Yeah, the realism is kind of
Guys, let Blop finish.
In terms of the Streisand effect having an impact on an already popular game or franchise, think back to the Hot Coffee mod, the way with San Andreas, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, it was San Andreas.
yeah.
Now, don't forget the GTA series at that time was extremely popular, and the original became very popular because of negative publicity. You had kids telling their parents, "Oh, it's a racing game. Oh, it's a driving game," and of course, it was anything but. And it was able to really gain much success from that negative publicity, but that seemed to go further and further. So with something like the Hot Coffee mod, which got the developers into all sorts of trouble, it only seemed to pay dividends in the long run, as the franchise is only grown since then. I can't.
Do you think that was because of the hot coffee mod, though? Like, is that
I think Hot Coffee mod had a. I'm saying in conjunction with the overall success of the franchise to begin with. So San Andreas was selling it like hotcakes already. The hot coffee mod emerged later. But the infamy of the hot coffee mod only helps.
Added fuel to the fire.
Yeah, but right now you kind of expect that from Rockstar.
Yes,
To do
exactly.
that shit.
Exactly. That's the point I'm getting at, is that the negative publicity has gone so far now that you expect that from a company like Rockstar.
I have a question. What if somebody in the chat has no idea what the hot coffee mod is?
Oh, okay.
Do you want the TLDR?
Okay, quick TLDR. I think it was a Dutch gamer, maybe in Dutch. Some guy from Europe found a rather what's the word? Compromising feature to the game, which Rockstar claim wasn't there, or that
They removed access from it.
Yes,
But they didn't remove
access.
the actual code. It was still there, it was just turned off.
Yes, basically. Which left them with egg on their face.
Okay, to go in more detail, the scene in question was basically a sex minigame.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah. But one thing, kind of to get back to the original point, one thing I found funny about the feminists complaining, saying, well, you can't kill children in Red Dead, why can't they use that code? Implying that feminist equals child.
but they kind of do. I mean, yeah.
I think you can kill children, can't you?
Nope.
No.
There are
I never
very
tried
few. There are very few video games, to my knowledge, that don't have some form of immortality for kids.
Fallout 3 doesn't have that, because I remember being able to kill kids.
Nope. Unconsciousness only.
Yep, I remember that too. That you couldn't kill kids in Fallout 3, New Vegas, or Fallout 4.
Skyrim, the kid would just run around.
So, wait, what happens to the kids in Megaton when you blow it up?
They become unconscious.
That is not an on-screen death. That is an off-screen death. It's basically what it means that you can't kill kids. It means you can't just walk over to one and put a bullet in their head. Through story means kids can die, like in Fallout 4. The kid who gets bit by the mole rat, you can kill him technically by refusing to
Is
give
that
him the
mercy
treatment.
killing though?
Huh?
Is that a mercy killing though? I'm not playing.
No,
Fallout 4.
you have the cure, but if you get bitten, you have a chance to contract the disease. There's only one cure left.
The thing about the children, that's a good point, because there are smoking kids in the game.
Well, in Red Dead.
Yes.
It was the
And
end
that's
of
all-
the 19th century. Kids were fucking
Yes.
drinking.
Yeah, and it's part of the story, of the main story as well, so that where you see them. But I can't confirm that you can kill kids or not, because I never tried.
No.
Well, why-
Like, I can attest, like, it's not part of the main story. It's like one of those random events in Red Dead Redemption 2 where, like, these teens will be a ditz to you and you even be ditz back. But if you chase after them, they'll kind of mud you. But you can basically just shoot and kill them all. That's what I did.
Confirmed.
Well, and teens were adults by that point in the 18th century too.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. And they
Sorry,
also
Esther,
were
you
aggressing
gonna-
you.
You're going to say
so-
something, SFO?
No, I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. Caleb, you have anything to add?
No, I think that's pretty much covered it. I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, but you know, when you have a highly anticipated game and you have something that's slightly controversial, you know, people are going to try to exploit it, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what the Streisand effect was, and that's why I disagreed with SFO on that. I mean, I don't have a system that would run Red Dead right now, but because of the suffragette thing and all the other controversy, I'm planning on changing that. I want to see it for myself.
No, I'm not saying that the Streisand effect doesn't exist. I just think that when something's already popular, it's less of an effect. That's all.
Which I'll grant.
Granted, you have only a limited amount of players who want to play the game, but with the suffragette, I think the thing is, due to the political climate and political shit in games, I think it was quite.
I would describe it as a catharsis.
I think the suffragette thing. Oh yeah, you can do that. Now I buy the game. I wasn't sure about it before.
This was the
because of all that political shit, and now I'm sure this political shit is not in the game. And they try to make a good game. But I also have to agree, the game has some shortcomings. Especially you have to... There's an animation for everything, and if you kill like 10 rabbits, it's annoying. And you want to switch it off so that you can skin the rabbit faster.
Okay.
I always want to skin my rabbits faster.
I don't care so much about the animations. My problem with the game is that it's extremely buggy. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there are people who can just no longer complete the game on their save file because main characters have just gone missing.
Oh,
They're nowhere to be found in the game. And a lot of that has to do with just the way the game is. It's not procedurally generated. It has like a bunch of systems that interact with each other. Because it's an open world game, so you have like animals and you have various caravans, you have trains, you have horses, and they all kind of interact with each other naturally. And so they're all able to collide and potentially kill each other. I remember there was I watched a video of a guy who was doing an escort quest. And in the cutscene of the escort quest, it turned out that a train was going by, and it destroyed the person he was escorting in the cutscene, and so he failed the quest. and it was funny, but like a game shouldn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
I have a question on the SFO. Does the character disappearance occur only if that character has been involved with harming the suffragette?
No, it happens to pretty much anyone.
Did any of them say before they disappeared, I have information that could lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton?
Because it's
To your descendants.
about disappearing, there's also some really disgusting stuff in a side quest. The murder side quest.
oh yeah.
You see really...
I think we're gonna get lost in the weeds here talking about.
Should we move on?
Speaking of buggy messes, Spot,
Yes. So Bethesda's done it again. Todd Howard got everybody. He released Skyrim MMO Fallout version.
Guess who's
It
back?
just
Guess who's
works.
back? Guess who's back?
Skyrim with guns and multiplayer. I mean,
Well, considering the first real raid boss is a dragon.
Yeah, the thing is, there is already a Skyrim Online, and it isn't that bad, and it doesn't use this shitty engine.
well, I'm still waiting for Skyrim to arrive on the Game Boy Color.
I'm waiting for Skyrim on Ouya. I mean,
So, Fallout 76 dropped. It was a colossal fucking mess.
$50.
Now?
it's already 40% off in certain websites, dude.
Is it really? I get it for 40% off. Give me
Yeah.
that link. Give me that link, man. I'll get it right now.
Is it like
Alright,
a CD
alright.
key? Is it like a key wise, or is it actual?
Oh, okay. How many here have actually tried it?
I can't run it.
I mean, I played Fallout 4, and it's the exact same engine, so...
Okay,
I
so
don't want
technically
to
that's
run
a
it.
Well, okay, based on that, then technically I've played it.
Okay. Okay. So I did play the beta. I had pre-ordered it, and I was appalled. But most of all, I did find it very, very boring. I have to be honest. It wasn't just because of the mess. There was just aspects of it that I wasn't so keen on from a gameplay perspective. And even if the bugs weren't an issue and there weren't inherent problems with it, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it. So I ended up cancelling my pre-order, and fortunately it didn't cost me anything. So I got lucky on that one,
Yeah.
and I didn't have to destroy any shop fronts.
Oh, you saw that video, eh?
I did indeed.
So I have a question about this because some of you guys are more advanced in gaming than I am because I only have a PS2 still. What is the big deal with everything turning into online only and massive multiplayer online? I mean, it worked for one good game, but
Okay, so can I
Constant
venture-
monetization.
Well, can I venture some possible reasons for that?
Sure.
go ahead.
Okay, so ever since WoW is what really broke the mold for MMOs wholesale. I mean, yes, you have EverQuest, but EverQuest was insignificant in comparison. WoW brought it to the mainstream, and with millions and billions of players across the world, you have so many more possibilities. Add EA tactics like microtransactions, and you've got at least in theory, a winning formula. Subscriptions, microtransactions, lots of people playing online. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, and I understand that, but what I'm venturing here is we've seen over and over again that this was a unicorn. I can't believe I said that. A unicorn style of gameplay that really seemed to work for Evercrack and WoW, and it's been shown over and over again that it doesn't really work on many other models. I mean, it worked a little bit for Diablo 2, but you had to be invited into another game if you were always online.
It depends,
Well,
and there's that desire. I mean, I'm biased in this because I do play mainly MMOs. There is that desire to sort of find the next big thing within the MMO genre.
But the problem
It's
is,
sort of Simpsons did it syndrome has permeated.
but the problem is,
within the
WoW
genre.
is kind of the apex of that. You can't really improve it anymore. And also, WoW isn't WoW still hemorrhaging players? It's just they had so many of them at their peak
Yes.
that it's still
Yes.
able to limp along, even though it's missing half a leg,
Yes.
effectively.
But
I mean,
able to do
as
that
a
myself.
resident WoW, player here as well, I can tell you that it is bleeding subs.
And
The latest expansion is a disaster, and
another thing I can imagine for Fallout 76 is that they thought it would make game design easier because they can scrap all the voice lines and NPCs and all that shit. But
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, to be fair, Stefan, you had a lot of corner cutting going on there. It's a case of let's use what's essentially a Fallout 4 mod.
It was a box of scraps from Fallout 4.
yeah, the map
and
is
it
good.
got
And
NPCs. Well, looky here, we have players willing to do that for you.
yeah.
Yes, Spot actually gave me a link to an article the other day of players actually taking on the part of NPCs.
I mean, come on.
Serial numbers sold separately.
Alright, should we move
Yeah,
on?
I don't know what's going on with Bethesda. I don't know if they're having a bad case of yes men in their team or
Caleb, it just works.
But, I mean, see, the problem was that Blob and I discussed this last night. How this could have actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Yeah, I
primary,
have some thoughts on that too, actually.
well, the primary failing is they started off the same as every Fallout game. You're the Vault Dweller.
Yep.
Everybody's the Vault Dweller.
Yeah, I understand that entirely.
yeah, that makes no sense.
That's the problem.
That's
If
the
you-
first problem in the logic chain.
Yeah, you had a missed opportunity here.
Look, I had a weird thought. It's a bit of a tangent, but if Bethesda said that we're going to make a Fallout game that is an RTS that takes place before the bombs drop or leading up to it, that actually might be very fascinating because it actually is new and fresh.
Well, an RTS isn't going to do so well in today's climate. But Spark, your point.
But basically, instead of everybody being the Vault Dweller, coming from a vault, which, by the way, you can't go back to because plot, Well, Bob explained the damn plot, and spoilers for anybody, but I don't care. Apparently, Vault Tech, being the bastards they are, decided to release everybody in a specific vault out in the world 25 years later, and they specifically rigged the air system to stop working after the 25 years. So the vault would become inhospitable. So everyone's kicked out of the vault after 25 years, period. Now, the way I'd fix this, just to fix this first problem in the chain, I don't know how much this has fixed everything else. Unfortunately, I don't think the 25 years thing would quite work with this, but pick a starting faction.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going too. And there's so many factions in the game history that you can pick from.
This is what we decided.
Well, you can't
this is what we
do
were
the
discussing
Brotherhood
yesterday.
technically,
Is
because
that
it barely exists.
they managed to get ESO to work by having that faction system. You can choose different races. Yes, there are a lot of problems law-wise, but they, with a bit of hand-wavium and the time period it's set in, they just about managed to get it to work.
Well, let's see. What would be some of the factions? Enclave would have to be there. Enclave.
Legion.
Well, that'd be the Brotherhood.
Legion doesn't exist yet. Legion doesn't exist yet. Brotherhood of Steel, that one's much harder to pull off because at the time period they put it in, Brotherhood only exists still in the bunkers on the West Coast.
And you are still assuming as well that we have to stick with the same time period.
When it comes to when it comes to
Okay,
MMOs,
well, there's a simple. See, well, there's a very simple solution, and this is the bit that is such a problem with today's game development. Come up with new shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying
Use
some of the
that
historical
imagination.
factions. Well, obviously, you're going to have a Raider faction. They can easily whip one of those up.
Yep.
They could have a Warlord that's akin to the Legion.
And what about the Institute, or is that only in Fallout 4?
They exist, but they're still deep underground under the CIT, Commonwealth Institute of Technology.
And I know that the NCR hasn't formed yet, if you're sticking strictly by the timeline.
Yeah. If we say that we're stuck at this, when it comes to an MMO like this, you either want to put it before everything and call it only semi-canon.
Self-contained.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. You have so many opportunities, and with a bit of imagination, you could write untold numbers of factions. Hell,
And in the end, if you ever decide to switch it off, you can just nuke the place and go.
Yeah, and if you insist, you could always add them as DLC.
Or I had another idea, just as we were talking about this, in a way that you could fix that too. Remember from the lore of New Vegas, and I haven't played enough other Fallout games to know if this is the same as everything else. Every vault had a specific purpose while they were underground. They were performing one experiment or the other.
Yeah, that was back in Fallout 1.
Have to come out of 76.
Yeah.
Sorry? What was the question, Jim?
Why would you always have to come out of Vault 76? Why can't you pick a vault that's doing an experiment that works for you, that's something that you would align with?
Mm.
Well, you would have to change the title, but other than that...
Yeah,
well, here's the problem. The way this is, it makes sense, but the way this is set up is that Vault 76 was specifically the people in 76 were specifically chosen to go back into the wasteland and reclaim everything 25 years later.
Yeah. And there were only, 100 some odd vaults
and
ever
rebuild
created?
America.
Yeah. Weren't there only 100 some odd vaults ever built?
Yeah, very, very few.
With a couple of private military, a couple of private bunkers, some military bunkers like was it Mariposa where we have the Brotherhood come out of? Or was it Lost Hills?
Mariposa, I believe.
Actually, coming to think of it, just from playing Fallout 3 alone, there was like, what, about 10, 20 vaults around DC alone?
Yeah.
Well, I know you came out of 101 because I just started Fallout 3 the other day because I finally got to work on Windows 10.
Yep.
Be prepared for all the crashes.
I've already seen them.
You may want to mod it a little bit.
It's part of the experience because
I've already had to mod it just to get it to work.
It just works.
Well, there's a few things I'd like to add here. First of all, somebody mentioned earlier that there was no reason for Vault 76 to break down after 25 years.
That was Vault-Tec.
Well, it's not just because Vault-Tec. They mention why in both Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, because Vault 76 was actually mentioned in canon as far back as Fallout 3. So it's not like they just pulled it out of their ass. They are being consistent, at least. Which, I mean, good on Bethesda, because they have. I don't know if you guys remember the Fallout 4 drug fiasco. You guys remember that?
Yes.
No, can you elaborate on that, I suppose?
There was. I forget which vault it was. It was one of the other vaults you could find in Fallout 4. And the whole point of the vault, the experiment was that everyone who was inhabiting it were druggies. They were recovering druggies.
Yeah, the Vault 90 something.
And they filled the vault with a bunch of drugs. The problem is, they filled it with jet, and jet was a drug that was invented after the bombs fell. And people started tweeting one of the people who worked on the game. What's this discrepancy? How come these logs mention jet, even though jet wasn't made till after the bombs fell? And one of the writers working at Bethesda basically told them all to fuck off.
Just works, guys.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
I bet he was just reading Todd's reply to that.
But earlier, someone also mentioned that you were comparing this to World of Warcraft, and I don't think that's actually an accurate comparison. I would not compare Fallout 76 to World of Warcraft. I would compare it to Minecraft.
Yeah, wasn't comparing it. It was to ESO, and that was in terms of lore.
But like
of getting a single player franchise to work as an MMO, which I think they managed to pull off to largely successfully with ESO.
They did, but I don't think Fallout 76 is really an MMO.
Yeah,
because MMOs have certain qualities that Fallout 76 doesn't have.
Yeah.
Fallout 76 seems to be an online survival game like Minecraft, where
well, actually, the closest comparison is a game called Rust.
Yeah, Rust, and also like The Forest, if you guys have played that, I think is also very similar to Fallout 76. But basically,
Survival Evolved, arguably.
Yep. It's a lot of like in Minecraft you can like permanently alter the entire map if you want, and you can't really do it in these survival games that we're talking about. Yep. But it basically plays the same. You build shelter and you scavenge for stuff and you survive in an empty world that's completely hostile. You survive in an empty world that's completely hostile, with no NPCs and with very little in the way of formal direction. The idea is just to survive the night and then do that repeatedly as you build up your stock of stuff. So Minecraft was really the first game that really took off. So that used that type of gameplay. So I think like whatever genre you would call Minecraft, I guess just like multiplayer survival.
Yeah.
Crafting.
Minecraft like.
Yeah. Early access survival, crafting.
But I mean, I've played a lot of survival games at this point. The most recent one actually was The Forest, and I really enjoyed The Forest. But Fallout 76 seems to be a game like that and less like an MMO.
Yeah, you are right, Isabel, and that's I think one of the reasons why I didn't like it is that's not really my sort of genre. I thought there was going to be much more.
It doesn't fit.
And that's not necessarily again that's separate to all the issues with it. It's just it's not my sort of game.
It's a buggy mess. That's the main issue. Is that it?
Right, but I'm not going to fault the genre.
They tied like what did they do? They tied movement speed to frame rate.
Yes,
Yes.
That's the problem.
Just
game is something that's online,
and it's still tied. All they did was just cap the FPS.
Okay,
So you
hold it. They tied movement speed to frame rate. Isn't that a trick they used back with older computers? They tied the game speed to the computer's clock speed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
that's
why are
done
we
in
looking
the
back to
80s
the
and-
Why are we looking back to the 80s and 90s for how to build video games?
because it's Bethesda.
Because it
works,
just
you know?
works.
They did that shit on the Super Nintendo with like Star Fox, the original with like
Yeah.
the FX chip. They had to do that.
You could do that in GoldenEye.
Yep.
Yep.
They used to be able to get the crazy timings.
Well, actually, that's why the turbo button existed on so many computers during the transition.
Though
Dire
the
clock
turbo,
speeds.
well, yeah, the
All that
turbo
76 Turbo Edition.
it's an anti-turbo.
Yeah, the turbo button actually slows the computer down, funnily enough.
Yes.
But some manufacturers got smart and said, actually, turbo button's on by default. And that's the high speed, then you turn it off when you need to.
Okay, here's one of the things that really bothered me. That certainly wasn't a gameplay aspect, or a genre-based aspect, is that this game was actually marketed. You had the beta, which was 2 weeks before launch.
About that, yeah.
That's not a beta.
That's
Yes.
an open beta. I guarantee you they had a series of closed betas and alphas before.
That's not. This is something that's.
But I remember starting.
I can't even think what sort of
Demo?
excuse you could come up with to try to
Preview?
look at
I
this as
don't know.
favorably as possible. But when you're 2 weeks from launch, and there are inherent problems, there's next to
time to fix
nothing
it.
you could do to change that.
There you
Those are all problems that pretty much arose with launch.
Yeah, and
Surprise,
how many 50 gigabytes patches were already out for Fallout 76?
Oh yeah, I heard they also got
Yeah,
another like
that's another
49
thing
gigabyte patch. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have a disk and then like I install 200 megabytes of it and the rest is
Oh,
stuck
but
to
Stefan, this is the best bit. You don't have a disc. 'Cause
I remember.
you open the box and it's a little bit of paper.
Yeah, on PC. Well, yeah, of course. I was thinking more about the console version right now, because on PC a disc isn't really a thing anymore. It's more a thing on consoles, and yeah,
Yeah, but that's totally not an excuse for a AAA rated company to cut corners and put little
no,
bits of paper
absolutely
and stuff.
not.
Well, that's what everybody's doing now. Even the console guys are releasing stuff in a hurry to get it out and then patching it as it goes.
That's true, but you don't have a 50 gigabyte patch, which is basically the
No.
whole game.
Well, there is a company that has kind of figured out the whole, we are releasing the game, but we will do serious changes to the underlying, even underlying concepts of the game as it goes on. That's Paradox, you see with both Stellaris and Surviving Mars. But they changed the game in response to the fan base and what the fan base wants, which is probably the smarter move.
Mm.
Right, does anyone have anything else they want to add to this specific topic?
Well, I do want to talk about the MMO aspect of it because it's so weird to see this failing. I remember when WoW came out, when my best friend was still alive, we were talking about it, and he was going through the Blizzard timeline and how they tended to do things. When we were talking about it and WoW was coming out, Diablo 3 was first being talked about and first being talked about being released. And one of the first things that he said with just a giddy point of eagerness in his voice was the fact that Diablo 3 was going to go through, get 2 expansions, and then we were going to have World of Diablo. There are certain aspects of this where it works, but it's just almost an always online thing where you're always interacting with other people. Doesn't seem to work for everybody and everything anymore.
No, but the thing is, though, Jed, is that you have differing tiers of how gated these games are to being online. So you have quite a few that are instance-based, or they might have a social hub where that might be the only place where you can see everyone else online.
Right.
And then you'll form parties and things like that. But it's interesting that you arrived at Diablo, because Smart would like to bring us out into the next topic.
Diablo well, they call it immortal, but Diablo Irrational seems to be a little bit more.
Yes.
The people who are irrational are those who do not have cell phones.
Imagine not having a phone, dude. Come on.
No, I have to ask you, gentlemen, guys. Is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
I hope so.
No, this is legit. And
No.
then they tried to get. They were casting shade on the people that got pissed off because the build-up was they thought we were getting a brand new Diablo game.
Look,
Instead, we're getting
Well, Spot, you want to give some background to maybe these
Okay.
people who are living under a rock who haven't heard the
All
story.
right, so BlizzCon, those that know about it, it's you pay to go to this Blizzard convention. You pay a lot of money to go to this Blizzard
How
convention.
much money?
So this is for diehard fans. So they paid. They were promised a teaser for an upcoming Diablo game. They go there. They're getting excited. It's a new Diablo game. It's a phone game.
A Chinese copy of a phone game.
It's a reskin.
Yeah,
Not
risky
even a
enough.
real game. It looks like a reskin of an existing Chinese game.
look.
Crusaders of
If-
Light, if I recall correctly.
You know what? How they could have handled this if they were actually releasing a true new Diablo game, but they added on to the back saying, "Hey, we're also taking Diablo 2, which is arguably the best, most popular version, most popular Diablo game out there, and we are porting it to mobile.
Remastering.
We're remastering it and also we're also porting it to mobile. If they did that, you know what the fans would have said? That's neat.
All right.
Yeah.
We're also getting you a game. Hooray!
Well, here's the thing. Immediately after the backlash started, because let's face it, luring people to spend money for your convention only to give them, by the way, we're giving you a phone game, is a load of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, backlash started erupting on the internet. Then they had the gall to blame the people that were pissed off, calling them all entitled.
Because that has worked so well in the past, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
But most of them had to sell kidneys to even go to BlizzCon in the first place.
That's the pot calling the fucking white porcelain china black.
you know, how could you have salvaged the whole Diablo Immortal announcement? You should have done the same thing Bethesda did. They announced a mobile Elder Scrolls game, but at the same time they just showed the logo for the next Elder Scrolls 6. If
Well,
they
there
had,
are other ways that they could have done it too. But
if
go
they
ahead.
if they had at the end, said, "Hey, I know this is not what you're expecting, but here's something else," and you just show a fucking number 4 in the background, and everything would have been forgiven.
And even a mobile game would have been fine if it was on a console like the Switch, for example.
Yeah.
That would also have been fine. And if it was an actual game and not something to get the money out of your pocket.
Because I mean, for all its flaws, Diablo 3 actually is kind of decent in consoles.
Though, what was it? Path of Exiles kind of stole all its thunder.
Yes.
Yeah, but Path of Exiles is it's a good example of a developer that listens to its player base. At least it used to. I don't know if it still does, but there's one thing it used to be known for is that they were quite in
Cooperative.
tune with their player base.
If you go to playdiablo4.com, it just opens the Path of Exile website.
Well, speaking of which, surely, I want to say last week, they released that, yes, they are making a Diablo 4.
But didn't they originally, wasn't there some weird shit with denials going on?
It was leaked out that a Diablo 4 could have been shown at BlizzCon, but they scrapped it last minute, and now the Blizzard is like denying anything about it. But we all know.
Why?
Well, if I remember correctly from the forums, they were actually working on a world of Diablo right after Diablo 3's Necromancer patch came out. But they were scrapping that as pretty much as soon as it got wind out there.
Yeah.
But what reason could, aside from just really trying to hard sell the mobile version, what possible reason could they have for scrapping the Diablo 4 sneak peek or announcement?
Well, see,
Competence and stupidity.
Well, see, there are other ways that they could have gone with the mobile version of Diablo 2. Who remembers Final Fantasy 15 when it came out?
Yeah, the original, it was pretty bad, wasn't it?
Well, Squeenix had their console version, and then they had pretty much a reskin of Game of War Fire Age that they put on for mobile, and it was supposed to be an add-on to the Final Fantasy 15 story. That's the route that they could have gone with Diablo 4 if they were going to had dead set on doing a mobile version, which, with the way technology is going, I'm not completely opposed to, but you've got to do it right.
No, but they want their consumer base to walk along with them and eat everything that they delve into.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this popping up in a lot of. To be fair, it was a lot of people in gaming Twitter spheres. Consume product, don't ask questions, and get excited for next products.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times too.
Oh yeah.
That's what they expect our role to be. But they forget we made them.
Yeah. And I think this year is going to be another sort of hard slap to the developers to realize that we're not just going to be pushed over, we're not just going to buy their shit.
Yeah, but the gamers don't want to play shitty games. Well, except for people like James Rolfe. But
Rolf does it for shits and giggles and for the entertainment.
yeah, exactly. But most people don't want to play shitty games. They want to play good games. They want to come home afterwards, then play
a good game, Stefan.
Good game that they enjoy for whatever, and then go to bed, work, and repeat. They don't want to play crap, especially when they have to pay such huge amounts of money for the game, like $100 or more.
Hey guys, just a quick heads up, we're at 47 minutes.
All right, we should probably just move on to the next topic.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course the people are pissed.
Speaking of people being pissed, Sony.
What did they do?
What did they do?
So, apparently, Sony International now answers solely to their U.S. branch, which, by the way, moved to California.
Possibly go wrong. Bad feeling about this.
What could possibly go wrong about that?
So,
is that why they're censoring everything?
Yes.
The censorship is okay. So, those who aren't in the know, pretty much every platform allows the sale of visual novels on it at this point.
Yep.
There's a specific one known as Nekopara. It's released on every system. It's been on every other platform except Sony's. It's rated M.
Because it has nudity.
Sony's has it edited to the point where the ESRB rated it E for everyone.
How? This is more pointless than a PG-13 cut of Deadpool.
It's now a Chris's movie. It's now a fucking.
They've told they're telling developers to censor their games in the 11th hour now.
This is like buying a Walmart CD in the 90s.
Yeah, the problem is, I think the seat is still in Japan. The problem is that the U.S. branch has taken over, and the Japanese let them. And well, yeah.
Can we just require that to be in any power in an American company, you have to be just as patriotic as the guys who run Black Rifle Coffee? That's the minimum level of patriotism to be a manager of a company. It would fix so many problems.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's that issue. On top of the fact that apparently they're already talking PS5.
No, they are not. That's what the users are speculating.
But also, Sony also pulled out of EA. Or NIPS EA. I mean, E3, sorry.
Yeah,
honestly, E3 has been a nothing burger for years. People get hyped over nothing.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know about that. Because last year's E3 had a lot of really interesting games come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the times change and technology changes, so the normal fairs aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's like they
You
want to have
don't
their
need it.
own. They
You
want to
you
have like
ca-
I'm of the opinion that the way to do it now is basically do what Nintendo does: have a direct.
have their own press conference. That's what they do.
yeah have your own press conference with, I don't know. Just get a football stadium, do it there or whatever, and do a web stream.
Just do a web stream. Period.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's no reason for everyone to be gathered up for that anymore.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still locked out behind a paywall spot.
Fair point.
Yeah, but
Well, there's
it's cheaper.
something really fun about like, going to a convention and being there in person. You know.
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah, you see all the
completely agree.
weirdos that are walking around.
I'm just of the maybe it's just because I've become jaded as fuck over the years, but it seems like the magic of the E3s are just gone.
I would. Yeah, I would.
It doesn't help spot that we've just had hype train after hype train after hype train and just hope it's been.
Yeah,
dashed.
it's not only that, you don't know how it is, because behind the scenes how high the costs are for that shit. I know a bit about the German CeBIT, and behind the scenes it's a disaster. Every now and then the organizers change what the mess is for.
On top of that,
Sometimes
let's not forget technical issues, because it seems like every time there's some fucking technical issue.
Yeah, these developers release a completed game anymore.
yeah, not only that, but then there are exorbitant prices. So what do you pay for a medium stand on E3? $100,000 or something like that, perhaps?
Which
yeah,
is
but Stefan, you're going to get that lovely enameled pin for free.
Yeah, and
I
that's,
mean, okay. As someone who used to watch like E3 related content, where people were getting hyped and excited. You look at like last year's; it was just shit show after shit. It was all pomp and flair without substance. They were more concerned about the decorations and the frills and the actual games.
They probably put more time into it than the actual games.
To be fair, there were some interesting showcases last year, but it was more about. It seemed like all the news was focused on the sideshows than the actual material.
I mean, if we keep going down this road, E3s are just going to be nothing but a place for cosplayers to gather when they're between cons.
Yeah. Or just a bunch of like, I don't know, previews and trailers.
that's what all the fairs will get. Just a meetup, just a place to meet some people you don't see all year.
Kind of like VidCon.
We're not. No. No.
It's just a
Different kind of people.
Yeah, but very different kind of people. But no, I'm like, okay, you take something like, all right, because I see this video a lot, and the raw emotion, it still brings me to tears every time. The Twilight Princess E3 reveal.
Oh,
That level of hype and emotion still brings me to tears.
yes, but you have to remember one thing. Twilight Princess was a good game.
Yes, it was.
By the way, GameCube version only.
Yes, yes indeed. But what I'm really getting at is, you look at the stuff now, it just seems dulled and jaded and corporatized.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like Andrew WK, but he had no business being on that damn stage.
I feel you, man, because I grew up reading these magazines that were talking about E3, and I always dream of going there, But now you look at it and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we have equivalents here in Europe. We have, what's the last one I went to was Eurogamer in, was it Eurogamer or EGX in 2015. And I got a lot of good swag there, actually. And I found it useful because I went there really just to test one game, an expansion, for Guild Wars 2 at the time, and I did find it useful. But the amount of, as Spot says it, the corporatism, and it's so.
I think
it makes it feel soulless.
Okay, to be fair, I think I'm responsible for this one. We did lose ourselves here. The topic was Sony and what the fuck they're. I don't know how many of you do. I follow Raging Golden Eagle on Twitter. And he and his fan base have been going off about Sony.
What did Sony do?
Again, they're censoring every game on their systems, and they're forcing developers to censor them at the 11th hour.
What happens when Red Dead comes out on Sony?
It's already out and nothing happened. It's only about sexual content, I think.
Basically, they have to disable jiggle physics. They can't have any kind of nudity, or even suggested nudity.
What can go wrong?
Wait, Spot, hang on a second. Is this for the American market or
yeah,
that's right.
Global.
Worldwide.
Global?
There is no
Sony.
Wait. How is this going to work in Japan?
Because Sony Japan now answers to Sony America,
Which is in California.
Ooh, I think they're going to get a bitch slap from their Japanese fan base.
Oh, the Japanese.
Not only that, but I've got a feeling that. Okay.
It's everyone. Everyone will be pissed about that shit.
Quick question, Spartan.
Nobody will like it.
Isn't Sony Japan technically more powerful than Sony America?
Apparently not, because Sony America's calling all the shots.
Who owns who? Who physically has the deed to the other?
I don't know that you can draw that distinction without a difference anymore.
Because if Sony Japan owns Sony America, if things get fucked up enough, they will send Japanese businessmen to take over, and it will be a fucking slaughter.
I think what happened was I think they shuffled it around so that now it's the American branch that owns the Japanese branch.
Oh, god damn it, Sony, you fucked it up.
But again, on top of that, they moved their corporate headquarters to the middle of social justice central, really.
Yeah, but the power should still be in Japan, I hope.
It's not.
If it gets bad enough, Sony Japan will be spun off and it will survive, whereas Sony America will be allowed to languish and die.
Yep, exactly.
So I would say this is a victory of sorts to make up for the N64 PlayStation wars, but this is Pyrrhic and Ashen.
I mean,
looks like
they're again forcibly censoring every game on their platform, but they're doing a special focus on Japanese games.
Oh my!
Oh, there's a lot of jiggle physics in Japanese games.
Like I said, DOA, Senran Kagura, a whole bunch.
Well, at least Steam is basically laissez-faire at this point, barring, I think it was what? Vaporware and shovelware and things that are straight up illegal.
Well, yeah, actually, they've officially they're releasing them completely uncensored.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steam, Sony just killed their own brand. They were already in big financial trouble.
Yeah, that's not good. But there's still a bit hope.
An hour, guys.
Well, I mean, things seem to move in cycles, right? Because this generation, I guess it's last generation now that the Switch is out. Last generation, Nintendo has been off doing its own thing since basically the GameCube. So it's been Microsoft and Sony. And with PS4, Xbox One, it was very clear that Sony was the victor. And then in the previous generation, when it was 360 and PS3, I think the 360 edged them out at the end. And for the first few years, the PS3 was just nothing.
Well, the big problem that PS3 had...
According to the sales, I have to disappoint you. They are just about even.
Well, no. They were just about even. But the problem is, when it came to the library, the 360 always had the better games except for the Sony exclusives. And the reason why was because Sony with the PS3, if you know anything about the hardware, they didn't use an Intel or AMD processor. They used, I think it was an IBM Cell processor, which no one but Sony knew how to program. Only
No,
showed you how to program on it.
The problems are twofold. First, it was a single core main processor with 7 graphics chip like things
Yeah, like pseudo.
that works
cores.
together, and that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the NVIDIA chip that was based on the Sign of X architecture, and that one, if you do shader and a texture thing at the same time, the texture thing starts the shader pipeline. That's a totally crappy thing that NVIDIA fixed with the G80. So with that piece of shit, the performance is crap if you don't optimize really brutally on that system. But then you can forget the PC and Xbox 360. So in short, multi-platform games usually run way better on Xbox 360.
Well, we're also getting lost in the weeds, and we're over an hour, so.
Should we have one more topic?
I've actually got to go. Unfortunately, I've hit my limit.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, SFO.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, though. It's been fun.
It has.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Well, since we brought it up, the last topic, and this is going to be the next topic I could say, because it's going to be a short one, and this was brought to my attention just before the stream started. So the Xbox One is becoming a literal box. No more disc tray.
You knew it was coming. When's the last time you had a physical disc?
Last time I bought a PlayStation game, actually.
The funny thing is, if you talk about consoles, especially on PlayStation 4, the physical disc is usually cheaper in a store than the download version.
Oh yeah.
For example, God of War is usually $69.99 in the PlayStation Store and $59.99 at the physical copy, and that seems to be the norm with at least Sony games. So they don't really compete with the retail chains. So
Well,
with that, and the last I heard was around just 50% of the games were download versions.
I got the physical disc for StarCraft 2 when I played that, but I found out very quickly that it was just a vestigial organ. It wasn't actually useful for anything anymore. And I think Xbox is starting to realize that.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. It's just at the moment, from what I know, it's just the Xbox One S, so the cheaper version that should have been discontinued years ago. Anyway, so that one with a version without a disk drive, they will try. So if it fails, well, they know they can't do it.
I honestly, I don't like this this digital copy only thing. I don't like the way this trend is going, because if the companies decide that they just want to trash everything and to hell with everybody, you've lost out on all your games and everything you put that much money into.
The thing is, with consoles, you can still get used copies because the copy protection is the disc. With PC games, that moved to account bound stuff years ago. So, well, with PC, you don't often even have an optical drive. But with consoles, most stuff is still on disc.
I think that started with Valve back in the day, because I remember
Exactly.
halfway through. And
Valve, exactly. And it's mostly the last physical thing I got for PC that was really disappointing was Dishonored 2. It's around 30-40 gigabytes, and one DVD is in the box.
So I've got a copy of Portal.
Of that disk, you use it to install around 3 gigabyte and to download another 30.
Well,
Yeah.
Jed, to answer your point, I agree with you, but I think it's an inevitability. I think that's simply the way technology is going.
I understand that, but that just feels like these game companies are going to make off with
Although,
Or have the opportunity. I don't think they're going to, but they have the opportunity to make off with your hard-earned money for nothing.
Yeah.
on the other end of the spectrum, actually, Nintendo, the way that they're doing with their cartridges, is actually faster than using up all your RAM loading off the hard drive.
That was always their angle. That's one of the main reasons why Nintendo stuck with the cartridge with the N64.
Well, now that they've shrunk them for the DS, 3DS, and now especially the Switch, I mean, they're essentially like, oh crap, words, micro SD cards now.
Yeah.
Which are just basically little SSDs.
Little flash drives, yeah.
Yeah, flash drives.
Which load really, really fast.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. And with mobile things and like 2-3 gigabytes, maybe 4 to 8, you can get away with flash cards.
Actually, I believe the biggest I remember seeing is like 64 gigabytes. So you could fit those really, really huge games on a goddamn SD card.
Micro SD are actually a bit larger right now. Like 256, 512.
Jesus.
Well, here's the thing that I have, the problem that I have with it. When, let's say, Saudi Arabia or Iran throws the nuke overhead and doesn't nuke one of our cities, but blows it off in the atmosphere and the EMP goes off, everyone that's got digital copies is going to be out of luck. And I'm going
to the thing
That's
is actually
not how EMPs work. The EMP
thing is
won't
actually
fuck up your computer. It will actually destroy the power grid. That's it. The computers and cell phones will still technically function. It's just the bigger antennas will be fried. And whatever damage you get from the overloaded power grid.
Anything else to add to this topic? Wondering, Kaleb?
Nah.
Well, in short, it's just a test run for the Xbox 2.
Well, I don't need to worry about the Xbox because I already have a PC.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, the Xbox One is... Well, let's not talk about it.
They always had the intention of killing the used disc market, so this is their attempt at it again. They tried with the original launch. The original plans for the Xbox One was to not allow that, and now they're gonna try to go for it again. See what happens.
Impossible.
So wait, that eliminates So wait, they got rid of their only vaunted selling point. Of backwards compatibility. They got rid of it.
Yep.
Those utter dumbasses.
Backwards compatibility. That thing has a serious problem right now because you have to have payment options in your Microsoft account to actually buy backwards compatible Xbox 360 games, which makes no sense.
Wait. So wait, if I had an Xbox One and I still had a copy of, say, Halo 3 from 360 and I put it in the disc tray, it wouldn't run. I'd have to buy it again.
In that case, it would download the what was it? What was the game?
Halo 3.
I use that as an example.
The whole 6 to 10 gigabytes from the internet. If you have a larger one, it's like 20, 30 gigabytes, and the CD is just used as a dongle. So that would work. I meant a digital copy from the store. If you don't have the disc and want to buy it in the store, and you have money in your Microsoft account, like $50, also you got a prepaid card, and you want to buy a Xbox 360 game like Red Dead Redemption because it's played best on Xbox One. You can't buy that without credit card, PayPal, or bank account number in your Microsoft account. Except if you have an Xbox 360.
So let me get this straight. The only ones not fucking up right now is Nintendo?
Yes.
It sounds strange, but yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
Nintendo fought better out of one console generation, now didn't they?
Yeah.
They've been around since the late 19th century. They play the long game.
They had to get away every once in a while.
All right.
Do you want to wrap things up, Scott?
Well, I do have one thing gaming related, Kecker cringe. Gentlemen,
Okay, go on.
Go ahead.
Hasbro is based. So,
Elaborate for the 4 people watching.
so apparently
It's a shining light in the darkness.
Hasbro has released a new version of Monopoly, like they do every so often. This one is entitled Monopoly for Millennials.
Ah, that feels so great.
So, apparently, Hasbro decided to completely take the piss out of millennials. The cover features the Monopoly icon, rich Uncle Pennybags with a cup of coffee, earbuds, and a medal labeled "Participation."
Huh.
The tagline on the cover reads, "Forget real estate, you can't afford it anyway."
Oh, this is beautiful.
So the board retains the traditional go-to-jail space. There is a major difference in this version of the game. You don't collect money. Instead, you collect experiences as they traverse the board. Such as Parents' Basement, Thrift Shop, and Farmer's Market. Money doesn't always buy a great time, but experiences, whether they're good or weird, last forever, says the game's description on Walmart's website. The description also notes that adulting is hard.
Okay, I'm going to go to Best Buy and trade my experiences for Nintendo Switch. Think they'll go for it?
One hopes.
Your experience has
What the
caused an
fuck?
illegal operation and will now shut down.
Can I trade my experiences as a way out of this country, or?
Can I trade my experiences for a hooker?
That'd be great. But apparently, but I looked into some more details, some cool places and destinations. Collect experience points by visiting the hottest destinations, from your friend's couch to the vegan bistro to a week-long meditation retreat.
When you get enough spot, do you level up?
Apparently, they have 64 experience chips.
There a skill tree?
So apparently, yeah. The sad thing is, this game's sold out almost everywhere.
Yeah,
I
of course
found out
it is.
Amazon.
Because everyone wanted such a game.
Just
I have a question. Does anybody
I
win
really
this
want
game?
to know this. Sorry.
Everybody wins.
There you go. There it is.
wait, guys, I'm on Amazon right now trying to look at this.
I found it.
The cheapest I can see it going for is $49.11 with free shipping.
Oh, I found it.
So Hasbro won.
Yeah, I really want to know the sales of that game, to be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
it's sold out everywhere. It's gonna do fucking well.
Apparently, Walmart was sold out in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, but how many? That's the question. Was it 20? Was it 200? Was it
Well,
2 million?
Physical locations and website.
Yeah. But how many games did they have?
Probably, I would give it about 3 digits, but 100 maybe.
100,000?
I don't know.
So yeah, there's actually news articles everywhere.
Mhm.
USA Today, The Guardian, NBC News, Weekly Standard. People are pissed.
Yeah, the cheapest I see right now is like $60 on Amazon right now.
Mhm.
Damn.
How much was it originally retailing for? Or
I don't
supposed
know.
to retail for?
$20.
It's yeah.
It's been flipped hard.
There's only 11 stock left right now on Amazon.
We're at an hour 15, guys.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call it then. All right, folks. I'll give my panelists from my left to my right closing thoughts on the night. Blop.
See that mountain? You can climb it.
See, well,
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Kaleb.
Never forget, dudes. Modders will fix our game for free.
J. Edgar.
If you watch this stream, there will be a few caps in it for you.
Stefan.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And it can't get much worse anyway.
Why did you fucking jinx it?
When you go to sleep at night, Stefan, and you lift up the duvet, you're going to see Merkel there.
Wandering, final thoughts.
I am NPC Orange and bad.
My closing thoughts.
You don't have any.
No, my only closing thought is I'm too broke to actually get this board game. That is my only thought right now. I want this damn board game. I can't afford it.
Yeah. And I think it looks like it's an American-only thing.
It sounds like it. But all right. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again for the Deplorable Batcave podcast. I do apologize, but schedules have to sync up in order for this to happen. I will indenture to have my panelists, be more prudent in the future. Until then, next time.